hello, and welcome once again to Take Your Pick. I'm your host, Chris Piuma, and we've got a very special episode for you today because somehow we've been given the rights to make a film adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. It's about time for a reboot, right?
Yeah.
We've also been given an unlimited budget and a fully functioning time machine. So now it's time for the fun part. Who should we cast? Now, Tolkien Gateway, your Tolkien-specific Wikipedia, lists 130 characters in The Lord of the Rings. So that's a lot of roles to fill. Wait. Although now that I look at the list, I think some of these characters are only mentioned and probably wouldn't appear on screen. And actually, some of these are multiple characters, like Barrow Whites. That's just one character. But obviously, they'd be multiple actors. Fellowship, if you will. We'll be taking turns. We'll play that character and why. Once somebody picks a character, I'm sorry, the contract is signed. That has now become canon. If there are any disputes, I am your moderator. I get the final say. Now, we've gathered today's panelists from two of Megaphonic's finest literary podcasts, By-The-Bywater, your favorite Tolkien podcast, and The Spider Inn, your favorite great books podcast. You may notice that Suzanne is missing. This is some last minute news because she's literally stuck at sea. She is
on a boat.
She is on a boat.
Yes.
And there is no wind, and we believe Sauron is to blame. So I am going to actually have to make a pick. Now, as some of you know, I had not read these books before, but I am in the middle of my first read of them.
Yay.
I am about there. So no spoilers about how it ends, please. I don't know whether they'll actually make it or not. But I guess I'm going to have to make some picks, which is going to be a lot of fun because I haven't seen the movies. I don't know how the book ends. I don't watch a lot of contemporary movies, certainly. I don't know actors. It'll be fun. Also, I should say, I've got a special list here that was created by my former Latin professor, George Rigg, and his wife, who I guess this is from around the time that the movies were announced, but before they had been cast. They sort of decided to have this same game, just the two of them. And so I've got the list of who they thought. Some of them have check marks next to them because they guessed correctly who would be playing some of the roles. But I've got some of these choices. They were much older. George, in fact, had studied under J.R.R. Tolkien back in England. And so it's a really fun document. But I'll bring that in as necessary and make my measly contributions a bit more substantial. But in the meantime, let us see who we've got. Representing the wizards in the order that they'll be picking, we've got Ned Raggett.
Hello.
Representing the elves, we've got Jared Pekacek.
Yeah.
representing the hobbits, we've got Oriana Schwind.
Yeah.
And I, of course, will be representing the orcs. You, dear viewers, will represent the humans. And if you're watching this live and you want to comment on any of our picks, please do. We will incorporate your comments into the show. Literally, that is why we do this live. Oh, looks like we've got a comment already. Ooh. Oh, hey, what's up, Jared?
Oh, hi. That's my sister.
That is entirely to be expected, yes.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. That's what it will look like when you comment, ideally about one of our picks. But if you just want to say hi, cool. That's cool. We're here. All right. So first up, getting the very first pick, the plum, all 130 characters to choose from. Ned, who are you pick? Which character are you picking and who is going to play them?
Will be all characters played by one actor. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I will go with a minor but memorable role, and it's one of the ones you haven't encountered yet, Chris. So sorry for you, spoilers. But it is a crucial role, and that is the role of the Mouth of Sauron. This character appears near the end. It is the closest we get to a representation of Sauron, but not really. There's more to this than that. So the idea is, who should play this character? The film that Peter Jackson did took one route where I can never remember the actor's name, very good Australian actor. He's appeared in a number of things, Bruce something. And sort of cast him as a literally faceless character with a very, very big mouth. In this case, however, I want to take it more just having it be kind of more as it's described, an emissary, human emissary, although seemingly maybe not entirely human. It's kind of unclear, which is part of the joy of Tolkien. Things can sometimes be fuzzy. This character drips disdain, but also has a sense of command, can be both incredibly haughty and sarcastic and also incredibly cold. You need somebody who can sort of pull that off, who can pull off good scene-chewing villainry that's not completely funny. In other words, you're actually scared when this actor says something to you. And based on, of all things, his appearance in the Robert Downey version of Sherlock Holmes, the first film, I am choosing Mark Strong.
Oh, dope. Yes.
The English actor who has appeared in 8 million productions. I just look around for him. He's played all sorts of roles, an incredible range. But Strong's appearance in that film particularly is kind of one of his best. He is literally, if I remember right, shaven-headed or very close cropped. And that I think is just good just because just as is, or with a helmet, accentuating makeup. You could do all sorts of different things with this. It's a character that the physical appearance is not entirely clear. You can go all sorts of directions. But Strong also has a very commanding voice. It's not necessarily a Christopher Lee voice, but it's not that far off. And that's another reason why I would like it. And again, he could pump up histrionics if he needs to, but I like the idea of him playing this rather more coldly, where everything is not even a sneer. It's more like a, yeah, you're bleeped in terms of who he's dealing with in the context of the time. Again, because Chris doesn't know what's going on yet. And I think this is just kind of the best choice to get when, again, and this is something Peter Jackson talked about in his adaptation, how do you set up your villain? How do you make your villain work? And this is the closest it gets to it. I think this is a way to make it work, I think, really effectively. And I think Strong could do the job beautifully. That would be my choice.
Excellent choice. Give me just 1 second. So I'm trying to grab an image of him. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, I have no idea who this character is. I mean, other than how you've described it. So I have no comments. And I don't think that was somebody that was listed on George's master list. So do any of the rest of you have thoughts on this pick?
Yeah, no, he's in, the only movie I've seen him in is John Carter, where he plays the villain.
Yeah,
he's actually he's one of the movie is not, it's a flawed, anyway, but he's really good.
Yes.
I totally agree. He's the villain. He's really actually kind of scary in a really, really cheesy role.
Yes.
We've got some viewers shouting in and saying "Yay, elves!" and some of you may in fact represent dwarfs or the horsey riding people. I don't know if those are technically men or not. It's a lot of confusing. They are okay. It's really confusing sometimes, but yes.
Thank you, Michael.
He is a treasure. He is a treasure. Absolutely.
All right. So that starts us off with we're landing the most important roles first. This is very good. We've got the Mouth of Sauron. Jared, what is who are we going to cast next? Now that we've got that tent pole role.
So I'm going another minor role, but one that I love, and I am doing the first gender swap of the day.
All right.
So Farmer Maggot is a really fun character. He's only there for like a chapter and a half, if that. But he is really smart. He's really funny. And he like threatens to set his dogs on a ring wraith, which is the most amazing thing. Yeah, no, for sure. And Tom Bombadil likes him, which isn't like he likes a lot of people, but it's like a weird connection that is never really explained. But my casting choice here is Miriam Margolyes.
Character actor Miriam Margolyes.
Yeah. Who plays Professor Sprout in Harry Potter. She plays Mrs. Mingott in Age of Innocence. She just has a very hobbity vibe.
Mercy,
Yeah, no, I would be terrified if she threatened to set her dogs on me. But I would also like it if she made me a nice dinner and gave me ale. So
and mushrooms.
Yeah. And mushrooms.
Yeah. I don't even like mushrooms, but I would eat them if she gave them to me. So
right? You couldn't say no to mushrooms from her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I only know Miriam Margolyes from BoJack, where she plays character actor Miriam Margolyes. And
no, isn't that Margot Martindale?
Margot Martindale.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
I
see,
actually
this
was
is why
going
I'm
to
terrible
say,
at this.
I was actually going to say the only other person I could see doing this gender swap version would be Margot Martindale.
They have very similar energies, Chris.
Very similar vibe.
It's just one's American, one's British.
I'm the worst. I'm just losing this game entirely.
Chris, it's actually almost like you live in a different universe than we do, where everything is off just slightly.
Yes, I just don't pay attention to anything.
Well,
I do want to see that version of BoJack, though.
Yeah, right? It would be great.
I did enjoy Farmer Maggot in the books. I have read that far at least. That's fantastic. Well, oh yeah, no, that's a very different person than the. Now that I've seen a picture of her, that's very different from the cartoon horse.
When Ned started talking about minor characters, I got super worried he's going to take Farmer Maggot. So I gotta go with this. This is my favorite one of my choices.
Nice choice.
Oh boy, well that's an excellent choice. All right, Oriana, now it's your turn to pick another minor character.
I am going to go with one of the 9 walkers to set against the 9 riders. Hear me out. Channing Tatum is Boromir.
Oh, okay.
Sit with it for a minute. Okay.
He does the dance, right? No, I'm kidding.
Look.
Miracle Man.
I'm just saying Boromir is a himbo. He's like a slightly more like dour himbo than we're used to. But I feel like, this is an adaptation. We're supposed to be adapting the work. And I think the truest energy of Boromir is himbo. And I think Channing could really bring that energy to life. I really think that this would work. And I would like to see him in a more dramatic role, I think. Can't you just see him really that death scene is gonna play really differently with Channing Tatum in that role, and I don't think it would be bad.
Okay. Yeah, the death scene was what I was going to ask about. So yeah.
You're welcome.
I mean, if you've seen Jupiter Ascending, he does brooding, so he could be bored.
True. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. You're welcome, everyone.
Still has to do the dance. Anyway.
Middle Earth.
Now, I thought, who did I think Channing Tatum was?
Do tell, Chris.
No, this is the second fun game of seeing who Chris thinks everybody.
This is extremely good for that reason.
But also, Channing Tatum is an amazing name in its own right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Oh, dear. All right. I thought this was like some classic 70s.
I think he would have killed.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah.
Michael's right.
I'm fine with Carol Channing as Boromir.
Channing Stockard.
Oh, Carol Channing.
Oh, that too I might have been thinking of.
Wow, I'm imagining Carol Channing as Boromir when Boromir tries to take the ring, and that is breaking my brain in the best possible way. But
I was totally thinking Stockard Channing. I didn't realize that
okay.
This is so much more entertaining.
Yeah. I think we've already skewed into where we need to be going here.
I feel like I'm playing with my mom.
Oh dear.
Stockard Channing up against, I don't know who, Chevy Chase's Frodo. I mean, if we're getting this,
there we go.
That is not a serious pick. That is not my pick. Don't worry.
No. It's Chris's turn. It's Chris's turn.
Somehow it is my turn, and this is going to go very smoothly indeed. All right. I am thinking of picking the biggest character so far. I'm going to go big. I'm going to pick Gollum. And I think with Gollum, I'm reading it and I don't know where we're going with this. I'm at the point where he comes back and he meets up with Sam and Frodo in the second book. I don't know entirely what happens after this. We've had a bit of his early story, which I quite liked. Because the first scene of him, what does he say to his friend? He's like, "Oh, life is ever so gay, my lover." It's like a ridiculous thing.
Strong,
give us that. He goes,
strong gay energy between him and Deagle.
Exactly. So I think we need somebody who can play it a bit funny, a bit sensitive, and also with a lot of really big gay energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pick. Now hear me out. Maybe I don't know because I don't know. I haven't seen her in this much, but I'm going to pick Wanda Sykes.
Oh,
I like that.
That actually could work. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah,
I
I
can
think
see
that could
it.
be really interesting, and I just think she could bring a lot of really interesting energy to a character that has some interesting energy, sort of that everybody knows about, the My Precious and stuff. But like, there's more. There needs to be another layer to it, and I think she would add all sorts of interesting notes to that character. I wonder who my Professor George picked for Gollum. Roddy McDowell is the answer.
Oh, okay.
Also,
I don't
big
think-
gay energy.
which is interesting, of
sort
course,
of quiet
because
gay energy, anyways.
yeah, but that's interesting because Roddy McDowell did play Sam in the animated Rankin Bass Return of the King.
There you go.
So that might have been where he got the idea, just sort of bounced over the roles. I don't know, but
I still haven't seen the Rankin Bass one.
future episodes will put you in line for that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Should I wait then? Should I just wait and see if we
Wait.
cover it before I watch it?
Yeah. The time
All
will
right.
come.
All right. Well, now we've heard enough from my unknowledgeable mouth. Let's go back to Ned. Ned, pick your second character.
My next my vaguely unknowledgeable mouth. No. Okay. So still doing the minor characters because frankly I thought I'd have, there'd be more people going for that. I was just sort of doing this thing. So I was another character I thought of who is not in the films at all. This is kind of a blank slate. And that being a blank slate, I was thinking all sorts of various ideas in terms of what I could do. So it also gave me a chance to sort of rethink the Society of Gondor a bit, because it is said to be is not simply just a bunch of however defined pure Numenorians. It's also been 3,000 years, and we're also talking about the setting of the biggest city, etc. So things could go all over the place. And again, there's no real sense of what this character looks like, which I think gives more free reign. No gender swapping, but I think going up against expectations. The character in question is Beregond. Beregond is a character who is sort of when Pippin ends up in Minas Tirith in Gondor. Beregond is kind of his guide, you could say, and he's also as Pippin ends up sort of joining the guard that's there. Again, sorry, Chris, spoilers. Is that Beregond is sort of his guide to sort of like what he'll be doing to the city, things like that. And he's a nice, good, solid character. He's sort of like someone you can just sort of like, who is somebody who sort of like works in the weeds. You don't necessarily call him a blue collar worker, but somebody who's sort of like this is what he does. But he has a good energy to him. He's somebody who can convey a good energy. And I don't know quite why this leapt to mind, but I think it would be a very good choice. And you have to get, going back in time, maybe during the 70s, when picking this particular actor. But I was thinking of Yaphet Kotto. The reason why I picked him was because I was thinking of his role in Alien, where he plays a very blue collar worker type guy. So again, he's not necessarily the equivalent of the captain of the guard, but somebody who is very comfortable in his environment and has a good sort of ease to him is the best thing to him. And I like the role because the role actually gives the role eventually, as going in the book, there's a particular heroic moment which I won't go into for Chris's ease when it comes to the story. Maybe is the best way to put it. But he's also a loving, devoted father. And I think the idea that would be sort of a way to sort of like change up expectations of what Gondor is supposed to be and who is supposed to be living there. And I think that's very important. I think that's something that would be good. And I think he has both a certain sense of presence, a good energy. He can do not lighter. The role's not necessarily a light one, but it is an easy, comfortable role. And with some serious moments along the way. So Yaphet Kotto as Beregond, that would be my choice.
Yeah.
And then when Gamera attacks Beregond.
Well, that's another movie.
It took me forever because I couldn't figure out how you were spelling Beregond because I had
Sorry.
Beregond and Beregond, the kaiju in my head.
Yaphet Kotto versus a giant flying turtle. Yes.
I have no opinions on this actor I've never heard of and this character I haven't encountered.
He has such dad energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the character's
really
loving
does.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love him. He's a really good minor character.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, I hope you have some thoughts on this. Let me go find a picture of Yaphet Kotto for you.
You should.
Yeah, good dad energy.
Yeah,
there's such an
other
interesting
actors who could do
sequence.
the role, but he's kind of one I just could pull out. But there are lots of other ones too. So
Yeah.
But that's who I settled on. Are you finding a photo, Chris?
Well, yeah. Hold on a second. I did find a photo actually. sorry. Let me upload it here. It's a really interesting one.
Oh, I can't wait.
Uh-oh.
So, from a website that is making an interesting claim about Yaphet Kotto, which may be true. I don't know.
Oh, I hadn't realized you had done a trick roll.
Well, he
This is Photoshop.
this is a
Oh, is it?
Photoshop.
Yeah.
Allegedly, he had turned down the role of Picard.
What?
Now, I don't know. That's just what Boing Boing said once. So
But
this
it's
year,
a slightly friendlier version of this particular headshot, and that's kind of what I'm thinking of for Yaphet Kotto in the role, yeah.
yeah. But there you go. All right, very good. Okay, so that's another person. Jared, who are you going to confuse me with your next choice?
I'm going to go big this time. From
Okay.
Farmer Maggot to one of the biggest choices. So Aragorn.
All right.
Very prominent character. There's a lot of ways you could play him, I think. Viggo Mortensen does a great job, but he's also this sort of like sad, brings sort of a sad murder hobo thing to it, which is fine, which is totally fine. I love him in the role. I love it. But it makes it, for me, when he becomes king, it's a little like,
Really?
this guy do like is
Yeah.
he what is he really so
Mhm.
for kingly energy I don't think you could do better than Idris Elba.
Mm.
Do I need to say anything more? I mean, it's Idris Elba.
No, that's literally it.
Yeah, so and it the movies are super white as they are, and I think having Idris Elba
Mhm.
in this really prominent role is, I mean, it's good casting, I think, but it's also just like, oh, might as well have some plastic representation.
Right.
Mhm.
I was gonna do Henry Golding as
Ooh.
Aragorn,
Also a good
Ooh.
choice. Yes.
but Idris Elba is very tempting.
Who do we have here on my professors?
It's a tough role to cast.
Yeah, it is.
It requires both the murder hobo energy and the kingly energy, and
Yeah,
Elba has that from Luther, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's a cop, but Luther is definitely a murder hobo. Like,
With a badge.
yeah.
And thinking of who's been cast in the role already besides Viggo, going back to the various 70s, 80s versions, Robert Stevens, very good Shakespearean actor from an English Shakespearean actor, did the role pretty well for the BBC radio version. John Hurt did the Bakshi version.
Oh.
Really?
Didn't do it as well as could be. Very sort of, I don't think it was necessarily his fault. It was definitely John Hurt. You could tell it was him, but it was sort of almost like kind of a little rough voiced, not in a sort of grunting guttural way, just sort of like John Hurt, but with a bottle brush down his throat at one point. It was kind of odd. So I don't know. I would off day or something else. So it was a bit of an odd combination. I cannot remember who played him in the Rankin Bass Return of the King. That was generic, and that was almost a nothing role. So oddly enough,
Yeah.
In the Return of the King.
yeah, you'd think.
Huh.
But very
All right.
odd.
This is the one role that my prof had come up with 3 options for.
Whoa.
All right.
Some of them have 2, but most of them are just 1. But this one had 3. They were between Gary Cooper, Sean Connery, and Charlton Heston.
I like Gary Cooper as
Gary
That would be
Cooper.
very interesting. Yeah, I could see that.
The other two,
For Boromir, I forgot to mention, scratched out Richard Burton and put down Kirk Douglas.
As
I could see
Boromir.
that. I could see that.
Interesting.
all right.
Douglas,
mean-
I mean, not
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least he dies early.
It's sort of like his role of Pass of Glory, but totally tortured and actually gone corrupt. That actually could work. The more I think about it, yeah, that's interesting. So,
Yeah. Much to think about.
in a word,
So much to think about.
Are you going to throw up an Idris picture, or do we need one?
I think we all can.
I think we
yeah,
all.
very good, very good.
No, I didn't have one ready, and it would take too long to grab one. That's okay. We all know it. We've all seen him in our dreams. Oriana, your choice for the next role.
Oh my god, there's so many good ones left. So I'm going to pick my Galadriel.
Damn it.
Suck it, everyone. And I'm going to go with Lucy Liu. I think she would be... She has... Because she is capable of the coldness and the regalness that... Regalness? That's not a word.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, she has the queenly vibe down for sure. But as she showed in Elementary, which is the better Sherlock Holmes adaptation, everyone, she has this warmth to her as well that is like really great. But she also, there's some no nonsense. There's a no nonsense vibe about her, but she is capable of great warmth as well, which you kind of need when Galadriel shows the vulnerability of not of saying no to the ring. So yeah, can't you just see her like suspended in air, like
you would have
looking like a bot, right? I could totally see that. Anyway, Jared, what were you gonna do for Galadriel? I'm curious.
I was gonna do Angela Bassett.
Yes! Oh my god, I was looking for a role for her. Yes. She would be so good. She would be a great Yavanna too. Like
Angela Bassett would?
Yeah.
Yeah. She'd be great in anything. I mean,
just pick a role. Like,
give her all the role.
She could be like, put her as Gandalf. I don't care.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Excellent. All right.
That would actually be great.
Yeah, Galadriel. So yeah, we are here. We are going around fan casting, picking who we would pick given unlimited access to people from around the world, all sorts of actors to play in our version of Lord of the Rings. And I guess it's my turn again, and I need to come up with something. And I should have written some things down.
You can just use your professors and like not tell us, and we won't know the difference.
Oh, you won't know. Suddenly, I'm picking classic actors from. I am going to pick. Let us see. I'm going to. You know what? I had a theory going into this, and I'm going to stick with this theory that there are two actors that you can cast in anything. I'm going to pick one of them. Because this is just delighting me. So in the role of Bilbo Baggins, specially appearing, we are of course going to have an actor who you should cast in all your movies. It's going to be Brian Blessed.
Yes.
let me put that in there as Bilbo Baggins. And yeah, because like. He's just Bilbo has so I haven't read The Hobbit, and I'm not quite sure how he appears there. And I get the sense that like he's a bit more reserved than you expect Brian Blessed to play. Although Brian Blessed does play reserved sometimes, he does have that in his repertoire. But you need somebody who can just be big and say a line in a weird way that will just throw the whole conversation off to the side. And you just want to cast him in everything. Frankly, that's all I want to do. Is there any role that can't be well played by Brian Blessed in this? I don't think so. I'm just going to throw that out there, but I want to hear what everybody else has thought. My professor said, well, there's a check mark next to it. Is it Ian Holmes who plays it in the movie?
Yeah. Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't know if you could do better than Ian Holmes. I mean, Brian Blessed is great, but like
Blessed is a good choice because he captures the older Bilbo's the tendency to really show off and have a good time.
The older Bilbo just gives no expletives.
Right. Yeah. So
we've scored on this show before.
It's like if we filmed it, because unlike in the Jackson version, if you film it like it actually is written out, you have to have Bilbo there at the Council of Elrond doing his great, I know it's going to be me and all that. And I can totally see Brian nailing that moment really well.
Exactly.
So it's one of those things that totally works.
I love that part.
Yeah.
I love it.
Plus he has climbed Everest, so he's got the idea of going up a mountain well in his bag. He can definitely do that.
Go up the mountain, go under it, go into it. I'm Brian Blessed. Okay, I like Mike's comment here. This is a good one. Sure.
If everybody commenting has alternates who they want to pick for someone like Bilbo Baggins, please shout them out.
Or just keep agreeing
people shouting
with me.
out, I want to pick Gandalf, and just say who you want for Gandalf. especially once we get around to Gandalf. That would be awesome. Oh my God, I don't know what that was related to. I assume that was because of the audacity of Brian Blessed, as every role in every movie. Which I think is one way to live.
Got the initials for the part too. I mean, there you go. It's all right there. Just monograms just carry over. It's perfect.
Everywhere.
I think that's who Tolkien was originally inspired by.
Clearly,
in fact.
That's definitely in one of the letters.
Yeah, I think so. All right, let's get out of my nonsense and let's go back to Ned's nonsense. Who are you going to pick this time?
All right, so you always have to have at least one stunt cast. And this is my stunt cast. So that's because it would screw around with a lot of the fandoms on other levels. So here's the thing. A subject of one of our episodes last year was, yes, another minor character, but a crucially important one and a bit of a loaded one to cast, as we'll explain. And this is the character, again, Chris, you haven't encountered this character yet, of Ghân-buri-Ghân.
I knew you were going to do this.
Well done, thank you. And if you need help with that spelling, Chris, it's GHAN-BURI-GHAN. There you go.
I got it. And the G's are capitalized.
Yeah, they are. So just putting that out there. In any event, so the problem, this is a interesting / very problematic character potentially, because it is unclear exactly what this character's who this character exactly is. The short version of it is leader of a small, essentially primitive tribal society, as far as is known, that lives near the borders of Gondor and Rohan. Has a very key role, however. They're pretty much tips right on the edge of being almost a noble savage, but with a very, very some sharp lines along the way that basically Tolkien is allowing for, or at least implicitly arguing for, a certain intelligence, a certain humor, a certain knowledge of who has the power in a particular situation. So it's a very, very subtle role. There's also the danger, and we've been sort of addressing this, of given that the story is read in very, 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 very white terms, if you cast an actor who is not white in this role, that gets into some really dicey areas. So you kind of have to have a character whose background is, white European. Let's put it this way. Maybe prosthetic, made up. Oriana made a good argument that the character could be seen to be a Neanderthal, sort of surviving into modern times. I think there's a good argument for that. It's one of those things that there's enough description displayed that you can sort of do something with this. But I think you see a character, and you have to have a character who can argue these, who can convey these elements I've described in a small, compact space and sell it. And as I said, stunt casting. And the character is described as being of relatively short stature. It's Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage, just screw around with all the Game of Thrones fans. To give him a very, very different, atypical role, but a role that, again, requires, as written, just a certain sense of, menace, humor, intelligence, awareness, threat, etc., and also a bit of hope. He is an ally of the characters, but on his own terms. And I think Dinklage is just an incredible actor. I mean, what of course he did is in Game of Thrones is going to overshadow most of everything else he's done. But he has nailed so many good performances and good roles. I think he could do this one. I think it would be great stunt casting, and I think it would be a way for him to do it and not play a hobbit, which would be the obvious thing to do with him in stunt casting. I think we should do this. That would be my choice.
Huh.
I think that works.
Yeah.
This needs to be like a TV adaptation, though, because there's no way Ghân-buri-Ghân is going to end up in a movie adaptation.
But I was definitely thinking like 1995 BBC miniseries level.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, well, that is on the table, I'm being told by the Muckamucks. So, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm glad to see Peter Dinklage getting more work. Fantastic. All right. Excellent choice of a character that I have not encountered yet. But now I will have something to attach to that character when I get to that part of the book. Jared, it is your turn.
Yeah, I'm looking at my list. I've got so many. I have a hard time deciding sometimes if I give myself too many options. So I'm going to go. I guess we'll have time for more than 3 rounds. So I'm going to go minor again. Lobelia Sackville-Baggins is
good one.
She's I know Chris, you've encountered her at the beginning of her character arc, where she is thoroughly unpleasant. I'm not going to spoil too much about the end of her character arc, but she's a really fascinating character to me, anyway. Mostly because I really like catty older women. So the obvious choice, and maybe it's too obvious here, is Judi Dench.
Oh yeah.
I just want to see her take possession of Bag End with her surly son, and then wave her umbrella threateningly at people. That's all I want from Judi Dench. Is the
she can just she can basically be the cat. She can be she was Old Deuteronomy. Yeah, she could just be that, but with an umbrella.
I haven't seen Cats 2019 yet, so I don't know how she is in that role.
Well,
I was thinking more of her Lady Catherine de Bourgh
that works
portrayal,
too.
where she's
that
just
works
like,
too.
Or Lady Ragnall in Importance of Being Earnest. A handbag.
Yes.
So yeah.
I would have just done the stunt casting and gone back and gotten Vita Sackville-West to play the role.
Might as well.
The real person that is roughly a parody of. And then maybe you can put Virginia Woolf in there somewhere. People are really excited for the pick for Gandalf. I wonder if that should be my next choice. Except it's not my turn.
Yeah, it's Oriana's turn.
It is
Oriana's turn. I'm
going to pick a different wizard, in fact. I am going to do Saruman and Crushing Dreams since 1987.
But only mine.
But only yours. But this is where I think Lance Reddick can just absolutely destroy this role. I think that he would relish playing such and I don't want to say unapologetically evil, but a man who thinks that he has hitched his wagon to the correct evil horse. But I think that he can bring the layers too of what he was, what Saruman used to be. And I think he has such soulful eyes that I think that would really work. That's my spiel.
That's your pick. So I don't know who this is. What else has he been in?
The Wire, Fringe, a lot of things. I think, is he in Bosch right now?
I had to look him up because I don't know who this is. But
yeah,
oh man,
I know the name.
When you see him, you'll go, oh.
Well, but the only thing I'm looking at his entire filmography, the only thing I would have seen him in is a West Wing episode where he's got a really minor role. So,
Jared,
I know I haven't seen The Wire.
Fringe? How have you not? I don't care about The Wire. It was good. Don't
well,
get
yeah,
me
real
wrong.
prestige TV, which had a LOTR film cast member in it with John Noble. I mean, come on.
For those of you playing along at home, I have finally managed to get my little thingy thing to work, and I can show you in just one moment a picture of the person in question, which I think, there we go.
I agree.
Looking like a snack.
Yep.
I want snacky Saruman.
It's not stunt casting, it's snack casting.
Snack casting. Oh my god.
Excellent. Should have called the episode that.
Yes.
Oh no, it's my turn again. Oh no. All right. Well, so Gandalf. Everybody seems to want Gandalf already. I'll do a Gandalf for y'all, sure. Now,
Solid.
my professor had two choices on Gandalf on this list that they made. I believe when the movies were announced, but before they were cast, they had chose between. They had the choices between Ian McKellen, who I think worked out, and Alec Guinness, which is the same. So I think we need a slightly different energy for Gandalf. But there is something. The thing that I'm finding as I'm reading this, Gandalf is really, he's kind of neat and he's very friendly at times, but quite a lot of the times he's just, he's doing things for reasons that no one can understand. Like there's not being explained to you what his motivations are, or not in the moment anyways. So there's something very otherworldly about Gandalf a lot of the time, but then he just sort of snaps and then is very sweet to the hobbits. So I'm gonna go with Tilda Swinton because you got it. Because Tilda Swinton is the other person who should be in every movie, and has that unearthly energy. There are about half the roles I think she could play simultaneously, frankly. But I think she'd be a good Gandalf. I mean, there's plenty of other choices, as indeed our chat has said. I assume everybody else on the panel had a choice for Gandalf, though.
Yeah.
I actually didn't. I didn't pick Gandalf.
I don't really have one to hand necessarily. Who'd you have, Jared?
Viola Davis.
Which has indeed come up in the chat.
Krista!
Yeah. Oh my God! Gee, I
One from
wonder
the
if you
family.
guys are related somehow.
This happens all the time.
And we've also had
Alfred Woodard. Okay,
That would
yeah,
be
that's
great.
good.
Although I wonder, does that go to the magical black woman trope too much? Is that
Well,
I don't think so, but
I don't think so either, because
she's Gandalf the White here.
the albino.
Gandalf the Pink Prince.
Yeah, I think a big part of the magical black woman trope is a lot of the time she's in a subservient role to the white
good call,
protagonist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And Gandalf is not
Definitely
subservient
not.
to anybody. And I think it avoids the trap of the sassy black woman, because Gandalf is kind of sassy, but
Gandalf
it's
is so
different.
sassy.
Because he's in charge, and he varies between.
Yes.
He's only sassy sometimes. The rest of the time,
Yes.
he's he's in charge.
Gandalf is
So-
a decision maker. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could easily stumble and make this awkwardly cast role if you put a black woman in it. But I think if you do it pretty much as written, I think you can get away with it. But Tilda Swinton is a great choice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tilda works.
Literally first heard.
Wait, does Tilda beard up for this, or is she, or no beard?
I think Tilda can project the idea of a beard without actually wearing a prosthetic.
Yeah. Beard energy.
She's got big beard energy. Yeah.
She find a way.
Also, the gender is irrelevant to a wizard. It doesn't have
That's
to
true.
be. It really doesn't.
Doesn't have to be. Here's what you do. Doesn't Gandalf have a silver scarf or something? You sort of have that hang down front, and then there's your beard.
I always forget that he's got the silver scarf.
Don't ignore that.
I don't know if the beard becomes, except for changing color, etc. I don't know if it becomes a major plot point. If his beard gets tangled in something in the big battle at the end, and he can't be I can't cast my magic spells, my staff. I have no idea.
Even changing color, it's just the clothes that change color. It doesn't.
Well, there was the great discussion in the behind-the-scenes documentary between Billy Boyd and Ian McKellen about who does Gandalf's hair, and the conclusion was that it was Legolas who keeps the hair looking so good.
Obviously.
As I believe Ian McKellen said, the elf.
Obviously. Some really good choices in the chat about Nicole Kidman as Saruman, and I endorse that as well.
We haven't done. Have we done Saruman already?
I just did. It was
we
link
did. You
tracking.
did.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll bring that up. That absolutely. That's why I'm so. I was spending when you were talking. I was spending so much energy trying to decide what my next one would be. I apologize on being a bad host, but yes, Nicole Kidman as Saruman. Who did my professor pick? Picked Christopher Lee, which worked out, or James Mason.
Oh,
James Mason. Evil James Mason is good casting. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Not as much stunt casting in this list, but.
At the time, we needed to make sure that an actual adaptation worked. So now that we've got it out of the way, now we can just go crazy, because it's sort of all right, the big one happened. Now we can just sort of just go nuts.
We've got time for at least one more round, maybe even two. Who knows?
Yes.
But let's carry on. Ned, who else are we going to cast?
Okay, going for a maybe slightly bigger role here, and also this is an actor who I was thinking about for a different role entirely in the wider Legendarium, but I think it could actually work here for various reasons. The role is Elrond. You've got to cast Elrond is someone who has been around for thousands and thousands of years. So you've got to, but is being elf or half elven is got to show, like, you could say showing some road mileage, but still there. And Hugo Weaving as Elrond, I thought was very good casting. It's a particular one way of doing it, and I thought he carried it off very well for Peter Jackson. But thinking on discussions that the three of us have had about sort of expanding out, who to cast and how to cast, and specifically how the elves can be represented, and we've got some wonderful choices going already. I was thinking of this actor. Not in his prime years, which would be good for other roles, I think, but in his in slightly older years, when he already has essentially an authority to him to play Elrond, and that would be the Japanese actor Toshiro Mifune. A massive favorite, of course, to Kurosawa, who is, played in many of his films. The two of them, their careers are incredibly intertwined. Mifune, of course, just as, it's just incredibly charismatic actor, ridiculously handsome. Somebody who I don't want to say looks otherworldly, because that's othering to say. Toshiro Mifune is very much of this world, but would definitely throw a curve into representations of what the elves are supposed to look like and all that, much like the other castings that we've suggested here. And again, the authority, I think, that Mifune carried in later roles. I mean, I first encountered him of all things, the adaptation of James Clavell's Shogun, which was a massive miniseries hit in 1980 or 81, something like that, when I was 9-10, back when miniseries on regular broadcast TV were like the big thing. Huge, big budget production, and it had John Rhys Davis in it playing a character, as it happens. So connections all around. But Toshiro Mifune playing the aiming for the titular Shogun role of it. At that point, he was already a very well established actor, very well known. By going for this one, he wasn't the lead role, but he was one of the key roles. And made an immediate impression on me. I'm a 9-10-year-old kid going like, who is this guy? And whether it's the combination of the robes, the sense of authority. Elrond is not not seen to be a warrior, but is a warrior. And he is essentially a retired warrior. He's maintaining this fortress. And the idea of Rivendell as something that is not necessarily a Eurocentric envisioned enclave, but something that could, draw on, other cultural ideas and all the rest of it. Mifune makes just as much sense as anyone else. I think he would carry it for charisma. I think he would do a fantastic job.
Fantastic. That's an interesting choice.
I'm so with you on that, though. I think that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he wears the long hair well, and the beard, if you want to give him that. So it's sort of like, sold. So,
did anybody else have Elrond? Any other thoughts?
Yeah.
I came up with one while I was talking, but whatever. Yeah, no, that works. That casting works. Yeah.
Did your professor have anything?
Yeah, Alec Guinness again, or Yul Brynner, if you want to go the no hair route.
A no-hair Elrond could work.
Yeah, I was about to say there's no reason not to. I mean, after Lance Riddick, you got to no-hair Saruman. Why don't we just have more Balties in Middle Earth? They don't always have to have huge amounts of hair, even though I'm biased. But
Emma Thompson as Elrond.
Good choice.
Intriguing.
I wrote down Gina Torres that was talking.
Sorry, what did you say?
I wrote down Gina Torres for Elrond while that was talking.
Ooh.
All right.
What's happening to my thing? Oh,
to
there
your
it
thing. I don't know. But Jared, it is now. Ooh, that's a mighty Stein, Jared. That is your turn.
That's a very hobbity mug. I was going to say something earlier, so going all out. Well done.
I am drinking cider out of it too. I'm a method actor. It's early in the day for drinking, but it's been a week.
Yes, it has.
Jesus.
Oh God. Okay. Who hasn't been picked yet? I'm gonna go for. It's getting narrowed down, but it's getting harder to pick. Like, who do I want to spend time on? Fuck it, Denethor. I know Chris isn't familiar with Denethor yet, but he is, as I'm sure many of us already know, the steward of Gondor. He's just sort of a placeholder for the kings. He's a very proud man, and at this point kind of bitter and resentful of a lot of things. Also, he's grieving the loss of his son. And he's kind of a prickly, thorny, tough guy who nevertheless has a massive air of authority to him. So the obvious choice, the only real choice, is Edward James Olmos.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. With you.
I mean, he's the Admiral Adama of Gondor.
That's it.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
I got nothing. That's just too perfect.
That's
it's
too
like
perfect.
Yeah, it's again, without giving away too much, it's interesting because you can totally see the Adama character things, but with a different angle is the best way. But keeping that as neutral as possible, so that way Chris has something to look forward to. But
he's very much, he's
completely
in charge of a remnant. Denethor, I mean, is also Adama, but I think he would be able to bring a lot of the same charisma and sense of command to Denethor, which I think is pretty necessary, even though he leads to Denethor through a very narrow lens.
Right. That's kind of the problem. I don't want to say the problem with adaptation. It's a little clearer in the book, but you do need a sense that Denethor has been doing his job for a long time and knows about a lot what's going on. He's not just simply a broken character from the get-go, which to a degree is kind of the way John Noble plays him, which is a way to do it in Jackson's films, but it's not the only way. So I would agree with you completely.
Yeah, the way he is in the movies, it's almost, it feels a little bit like, this is going to be the least relatable comparison for most people. Like when you go to an opera, the characters they don't have a history. They are on the stage and that's it. And that's how John Noble feels as Denethor to me. He's there. He's in a costume. He is there for this scene, this moment. And then, anyway, not to spoil anything.
The extra scene, though, that was added to Two Towers, which, again, giving away nothing, is actually not a Tolkien scene, but was added to Two Towers. Does show Denethor in a different light. So arguably Noble has that to fall back on as well. But again, agreed. Otherwise,
and this isn't a knock against it. It just has this kind of feeling of artifice in the movie where he's. I know what I'm trying to say.
I think we're getting that. I think
the way that old movies feel. Sometimes, where the character
plays.
Yeah, it's sort of mannered and heightened and not quite a real person, but it works in its context. So, I don't know why I went opera first rather than old movie.
You were. Fine.
Because you're Jared. That's why.
All right. Well, we've got a lot. We still got over 100 roles to cast. Oriana, let's get another one.
Did your professor have anything for Denethor?
Yes. Let me find it. John Gielgud.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know who that is.
He's a good choice. He's a very good choice.
That's excellent.
Yeah, he's part of the same generation of his Alec Guinness and things like that. So
he's another one of those. All right, Oriana, what is your next choice?
Okay, this character is very near and dear to all of our hearts. It's Samwise Gamgee. And you need someone with strong sidekick energy, but also someone who is secretly the protagonist of the entire series, which is why Michael Pena is our guy. He's our Sam.
Yeah. Nice.
He's just, I was telling my boyfriend about my picks before, and he was like, isn't he a little old? I was like, no, it's fine. I think it'll be fine. But yeah, I think that he can bring the sort of bumbling energy that Sam has, particularly in the beginning, and really add the depth that we see Sam go through as things progress. So congratulations to Michael Pena, the first Hispanic actor in the Lord of the Rings franchise.
What about Edward James? Isn't Edward James almost his?
Well, okay, I forgot.
Jeez, we just cast him. We already forgot about him, man.
Because he'll appear first.
Yeah, Sam will appear first.
First.
I see the high ground.
Yeah. I think he would be great. I
think
know.
he would, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have
what
a
is-
Sam written down.
What is he in?
Oh gosh.
A lot of
Yeah.
Ant-Man.
He's
I guess
great.
sort of the most
Yeah.
recent.
He was in,
We very much haven't
the
seen.
version of Wrinkle in Time that Eddie DuVernay did. Short role, but a pretty good one.
he's in there.
Wait,
I didn't
he play
watch
in?
that. Ooh, yeah.
I meant to watch that, but then everybody said it was awful.
It wasn't
I-
awful. It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't the book as such, but I thought it was a very good riff on it. Really, is.
Yeah, it
things
was.
like
It was
that.
lovely. It was.
Yeah,
I'll give it a try at some point then.
Who
Yeah,
does he
and-
play in?
He plays that character on the beach, in the beach scene, about 2/3 in, where.
Oh, the weird carnival thing.
Yes, him.
Okay.
Yeah. That's him.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Oh, the man with the red eyes. That was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the one who falls. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I only remember Oprah's scenes and Reese Witherspoon's scenes from that movie. I don't remember anybody else.
Also on brand.
I know. I'm a parody of myself.
Own your role.
So I'm really intrigued by the casting that my professor did for Sam.
Yeah.
It's a very different read of the role. It's I think it's totally legit, but it's a very different read of the role than the one I'm interested in. He picked Tom Hanks.
Huh.
So let's just put the queer subtext off to the side for a few years and let's think about, Tom Hanks, America's sweetheart as Sam. That could work.
Sam was the world's sweetheart.
Well, fair enough.
And in '97, that's logical casting energy. I think that's when your producer drew it up. So
And kind of like everyman.
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
Plump him
Yeah.
up a bit.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll be very excited. I'll spoil this now, and just in case we don't get to it. But therefore, cast as Pippin, Peter Scolari,
Obviously.
finally getting more work after all these years.
I don't know who that is.
Peter Scolari was the other bosom buddy on
Oh,
Tom Hanks'
okay.
first
The
show,
other guy.
and has not had much of an acting career compared with Tom Hanks since then.
Well, has anybody?
Well,
He's
exactly.
probably just done well in stage acting, but yeah, not.
Oprah is Arrow.
I
Well,
mean-
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Does that mean it's my turn again?
It's your turn.
What was I going to do? Oh, yes. All right, so I'm going to steal from my professor's thing, but I'm going to switch it up because he's cast somebody in one role, and I would like to cast him in another. This is, let's see, how am I going to lay this out? I'm going to cast Tom Bombadil. Not my favorite character in the book so far, by a long stretch, but somebody who I think just needs an actor who can do a very different kind of energy to him than I think would be the obvious kind. So I'm going to switch it up a bit. My professor cast Burl Ives as Tom Bombadil, which is a fantastic choice in many ways. Yeah, it's a really good choice.
Yeah.
But it's not switching it up a bit. Like that's a totally normal. I mean, he'd have to do a little bit of a weird, unearthly energy, or maybe unearthly is the wrong word there, but like definitely like what is going on here, even which Burl Ives didn't quite pull off, even as a snowman. But I think somebody else that he picked could heighten that more. And then when it came around time to do the singing and the poetry, could do something very very different with it, and with just really all the energy of what's going on with this character. I'm going to do, as Tom Bombadil, Anthony Perkins.
Huh.
Now, Anthony Perkins, I guess most known for Psycho, although I always really liked him best in the adaptation of where he just has a magnificent sort of nervous, off-kilter energy. And I think if he carried that into Tom Bombadil, again, is there two L's in Bombadil?
No.
No, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Anyway, if he carried that into the role, I think it could really it could place that into a new context, which might be one that I'm interested in. Now, again, maybe Tom comes back later in the book and something changes I don't know about, or maybe there's more story to him in some of the other writing. I don't know, but I want a slightly, I want an actor who can make you feel as uncomfortable as I felt reading those chapters. And Burl Ives is much too much of a sweetheart for that.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at Tom Bombadil's house as, the Psycho house, and, Goldberry is actually a character that Tom just says, she's the way we never actually see her, you're onto something.
Or you only see her when Bombadil isn't present.
Oh, that's true. Oh, wow.
Well, you don't quite, but like in this adaptation,
You could
would.
make that. Yeah. you could
Having
make
Tony
that.
Perkins also play Goldberry is fantastic.
Have him play the Barrow White. Have him play all three roles.
Yeah. You know,
That-
he
that
also,
could be-
he's really
unsettling.
the Tilda Swinton of his generation.
I will be honest, when you said Anthony Perkins, I first thought you meant Anthony Hopkins. So I was like, oh, that's daring. Oh, I'm into this. But I'm also into Anthony Perkins. It took a second to realize.
James Bombadil, yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. I don't know if you
think-
didn't realize that about Anthony Perkins.
I'm
but
waiting
yes.
for that biopic that Zachary Quinto is behind that's talking about Tab Hunter and Anthony Perkins' long-term relationship that they had back in the 50s and 60s,
I don't think I've heard of that.
because which really happened. So
Yeah. Well, it comes up in Tab Hunter Confidential, right?
it does. Yes, it's a
So,
key part
which
of
is
the
worth
film.
watching. It's an
Mhm.
interesting enough thing if you care about that era of movie history. There's some good stuff there, and some yeah. Anthony Perkins is great, just great. Okay, I won't.
One more
I won't
round,
tell you.
or-
Oh, yeah, I think we'll do one more round, absolutely. But I won't tell you yet who he did, who my professor had Anthony Perkins down for,
Oh,
in case it
Okay.
comes up,
all right.
or in case people want to guess afterwards. But in the meantime, I guess this will probably be our final round. So Ned, who is your last pick?
Okay. Well, I guess I'm finally should go for a big role here, and I'm sort of half thinking about this. Now, this is actually going to be fairly conventional to a degree, but an actor who I've liked in a role I think would be good and would have been, I think, available. Yeah, I think could have pulled it off if I don't know if his name ever came up, but if Jackson decided to cast him at the time. Although, frankly, the person who was chosen was pretty good. The role is Legolas. We all know about Orlando Bloom. So who do we have as Legolas? Well, we know now that in movie canon we have Orlando as Legolas, and we have Lee Pace as his dad in the Hobbit adaptations. So you need somebody who can give energy. And really, there are a lot more daring ways I could do this. This is kind of low key. However, there was another favorite film of mine from a couple of years before the Jackson films that came out. That even though Orlando I think was the best choice, and I don't I'm saying this, I don't think this actor was up for the role or anything. I've never heard about this. This is just simply an idea of could work. And even though his career is kind of up and down since then, pulled it off. And that is Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
Oh.
He was right about the right age to play Legolas at that time. And in terms of the reason why I think he would be an interesting counterintuitive choice is that even though Legolas is not quite a blank slate character, he has his own particular depths. But if you wanted to give a slightly more twisted vibe to him, is the fact that, as I'm sure Jared is well aware, that right around the same time of the Lord of the Rings films, he played Steerpike in the adaptation of Gormenghast for the BBC. Which also has a lot of other actors from Lord of the Rings and other franchises in there too, and he has a look to him. He has it's a look that's good. The film that I knew him from was Velvet Goldmine. I'm not saying he would have pulled off a Ziggy Stardust Mankey as the role in terms of Legolas, but it led me to think that he could work, and I think he's got the skill and talent to be able to pull it off. So again, a little more conventional choice for Legolas. It's not really pushing total boundaries, and yet at the same time, I think it could have worked, and I will stand by that.
I don't know.
He scares me.
Yeah, I had an interesting encounter with him at a party once.
Are we talking about a bad story or
Not like bad, but just kind of weird. He was extraordinarily intoxicated and was trying to get me to go smoke a cigarette with him, and I think that was code for something else. He very much wanted me, and you can see me, viewers. I don't look much different than I did 8 years ago. But it was strange. It was a strange evening. Let's put it that way. Yep, that's my Jonathan Rhys-Meyers story.
who'd your professor pick?
For Legolas, we've got under the elves category, James Coburn ? Is what we have written here.
So let's see if this
You're
role
done.
comes up.
Yeah, save it for
Jared. Your turn.
Jared, it is indeed your turn.
Okay. at this point, we've gone through almost all of the characters that I had listed, and I had a lot of them. So there's only 2 left. I'm gonna go controversial but major. According to my sister, the stream broke on YouTube.
Oh no!
Oh, never mind.
No.
Never mind.
Oh.
It's back apparently.
Okay. All right. Good.
Whatever.
Things happen. Things happen in the exciting world of streaming.
Yeah. So Pippin, Peregrine Took, the Fool of a Took, the Agent of Chaos, who inadvertently gets Gandalf killed. And picks up an immensely powerful artifact just because it's shiny. Okay, so this actor may be a little too old at this point to play the role, but I don't care. We've got a time machine, apparently. So we can go back maybe a decade and cast Charlie Day as Peregrine.
Ooh, yes! Yes! Oh, perfect.
Yeah, like the he's impulsive. He's kind of not really ever quite present in the moment, except for when he has his shining moment when the orcs kidnap him and all that. And I think Charlie Day is really good at playing a sort of hyperactive, distracted, like little kid thing that Pippin's got. Yeah, and he's really funny. So
yeah, no, I like that.
All
That's
right.
a good idea.
Who you said that, and then I saw the picture, and I can't find any good pictures. And he just looks like a guy. But
he's also a small dude. So like
yeah, he's
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. But that made me think of what's the name of the guy who was in the Detective Pikachu movie?
Oh,
Justice Smith, Ryan Reynolds.
Right, that might be it. Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds
Is
is
it
the
Ryan
voice
Reynolds?
of Pikachu.
No, well, maybe that's it. Ugh, never mind. It might be, but I can't remember now. Anyway, he just looked a little bit like, I don't think it's that. Maybe he was one of the writers for it or director. Who directed it? Doesn't matter. This is dumb. We'll move on.
oh wait, well,
Next
who'd you prevent the
another.
biggest Pippin?
Peter Scolari.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah.
Aw.
I know that please at least one of the audience members.
Very good. Okay, well, that was your final pick, Oriana. You get one more official pick before
I
we
had
go for catering.
So many good ones. Okay, I'm gonna go with Éomer. And this was one that I said jokingly in the chat in the Slack, and I decided it's actually fantastic.
Yeah.
I think John Boyega would crush it as Éomer.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the tweet. I was like, haha, John Boyega is Éomer, and then I was like, but that's great.
Works.
That works.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy
Chris,
to get
Chris, have you met Éomer yet?
Yes, he
yeah,
has.
He's one of the
Okay,
horsey men, right?
Yes, he is one of the horsey
He's
men.
the second in charge horsey man.
He is.
That's one way of
Yeah.
putting it.
Please write your own cliff notes of the Lord of the Rings.
It should be said that
Ooh.
Chris's substitute chapter titles that he's been sharing with us in chat as he reads through the book have been very entertaining.
I was partly joking about this being like talking to my mom about stuff, but really, she would refer to Rohirrim as the horsey man.
Yep.
Who is Wusik Choi?
Was he in Parasite?
Parasite?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
Wusik
could
Choi
totally
is-
see that would make he would make a great Pippin.
I was thinking of trying to think of other cast members from that to go in, but I couldn't figure out, partially because this is Tolkien. I couldn't figure out who the daughter in Parasite what role she would have. So
Mary.
She would make, I think.
especially if she absolutely gave no fucks.
Right? I actually had
Rewrite the ending, and she's like, Vermeer's like, yeah, you're my side piece.
fine. Yeah. Anyway,
we've got what was I going to say? Oh yes, Éomer, my professor picked Robert Redford in the role, which fine. I mean, I don't know. Is there? I don't feel like I have a lot of
too American. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't feel like I have a lot of specific associations with Éomer in terms of like what you're trying to pull out of that character. I don't know if he comes back and does more later in the book, but
he's way more of a jock than I think.
He's
Robert
such a
Redford
jock.
is.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
He is a jock with honor.
Well, yeah. Ideally, all jocks have
Hothead.
honor. But
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a hothead.
All right. We've got my final pick to pick. Now, this will be the last official one, and I need to desperately come up with it. So we've got. Do we only have like 2 members of the junta that are left to go? We've got Gimli and we've got Mary, right?
Is that the name of it now?
Oh my god. Someone has read the Russian version,
Yeah, I was about to say.
the Soviet version.
So I feel like we should probably do something with Mary, because I don't know. Again, I don't know how it ends. I don't know if something's going to happen. But Mary has sort of, while perfectly nice and you like hanging out with him, hasn't had a big role. So this could be a good slot to put in somebody who is maybe not even traditionally someone you think of as an actor. This could be where you put your some sort of other type of celebrity or something, but has to be someone who's fairly silly, right? So, or at least cute.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with somebody who is maybe known for something else, and but actually somebody I don't know that much about. So I'm gonna probably get in trouble. But I think he's still considered to be okay. Tell me if I'm wrong.
oh dear God, where is this going?
Yeah, I was about to say.
But I think this is where you do your real stunt casting and you pick maybe somebody who is known as like a singer who wants to get into acting. So I'm going to go with Zayn Malik as Mary.
You know what? Actually,
Yeah.
I think I'm with you, man.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. That's good. Man,
Yeah.
you're
I thought you were gonna say, like,
a
Zac Efron.
celebrity who's been like canceled 8,000 times over or something.
No.
like that.
This is. I mean, I've never heard anything, but that doesn't mean that I've got my ear to the floor about
Yeah,
these things.
the One Directioners are gonna flood the chat going.
It's true. Well, yeah, I can add that. I can add that to the tags in the YouTube so that people can come back and say,
Actually,
"Oh,
there you go. You have the 5 of them. You cast 4 of them as the 4 hobbits, and then you put 1 in old age makeup as Bilbo, and then you're like, there's your
There
money.
we go.
oh man, I don't know." Then you probably have to have Zayn be in one of the bigger roles. I'm not sure. Anyway, someone like that is definitely what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. That's my thinking about that role and that position. All right. And
And your
that
professor chose for Mary.
Tony Curtis, which is kind of the same. I don't know.
Okay. Sure.
Young Tony
Well-
Curtis, couple of medieval movies, maybe. Young.
I'm thinking Tony Curtis from the one with Marilyn Monroe.
Something Like It Hot.
Some Like It Hot. Thank you.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Fantastic. It's a great movie.
Connection. Man, was he just casting for both like bosom buddies and Some Like It Hot for this thing? I said the theme.
He didn't go out on a limb too much. All right. So that is all of our casting characters. Let's do you have any before we sort of bring out our dead quickly and mention anything else that we were thinking or get our audience suggestions? Everybody who's still watching, please let us know if there's a character that we haven't picked that you think you have the perfect casting for. Type it in now and we'll talk about it at the end of it. But while they're getting that ready, any thoughts? Have you had any, reflections on this process?
Did we pick a Frodo?
We did not
No.
pick Frodo.
We did not pick not an important role. This has been
cast.
This
It
has
really
been
is.
one of the things that I've
Amazing.
coming back to as I'm reading this is that
Yeah.
Frodo has no personality, and therefore it's really hard to attach someone to him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Um,
interesting thinking about the castings that have been done because Elijah Wood, which I thought did a perfectly fine thing, and his
Yeah.
eyes still half the role and all that,
Jesus.
and that's not a knock on him. It's lovely casting on that front, and I think he carried it off very well. Ian Holm, played Frodo in the BBC radio version, and given that you have to do that strictly through the medium of your voice and how you're doing that, I thought carried it off very well. There's good subtlety in that role about how he changes Frodo from the start towards the end of his journey. I think it's very well done. Orson Bean played him in the Rankin Bass version for Return of the King. Passable, but it's a hard role to cast. It really is. I mean, it's just sort of, be interested to hear what other people had for ideas for him.
Yeah.
I didn't have any. I feel like he's hard. He's a hard character to nail down, partly because I feel like he usually makes the correct choice.
Mm-hmm.
So he never has to deal with a ton of fallout.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see him brush up against stuff that he has to handle.
Right, I see what you're saying.
So
again, we're holding back because we said everything about what happens in the book. Chris gets spoiled.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to be very circumspect here. So I feel like he isn't a blank slate. It's hard to pin him down because the narrative hews so closely to not what he wants to happen, but what am I trying to say?
Well, it's also because he's so observed, and I think this is, talking a bit about Tolkien's skill as a writer, is that as Chris will soon see, there are more and more of what Frodo is described from outside, and that's very Icelandic saga, frankly. And that's something that, as I got to learn more about the sagas myself, just through research and other things like that, the idea that there's you see a lot of external action, but you don't get the inside of characters much in that. And I think that's the way the sagas evolved. And it's one of those things you have to read the motivations and decisions into that. And so that I think is just very interesting to see play out. And that I think kind of makes it hard. You don't get a sense of, you can't method act Frodo. Bluntly put, instead you have to interpret what's there on the page. Yeah,
when he's in the early stretches of the book, where the conceit is that he's the one who writes down a huge portion of this. That's the part where he's most a character, I think, and then as it goes on, it relies more on the perspectives of the other characters, and also the ring is sort of wearing him down gradually. Over that point. So by a certain point, he's almost just the guy who has the ring, because the ring is dominating everything that would make him a unique person. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I feel like is happening.
Who did your professor pick for Frodo?
We had two options. We had John Mills or Richard Attenborough.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I could see both of those doing pretty well.
I don't even know who John Mills is.
No.
I picked John Sims.
John Sims?
Yeah.
John Sims. Wait, who's John?
Did anyone watch Life on Mars at all?
No, but he was in Doctor Who. He was the master.
He was the master.
Yeah, the master. Yeah, he's been in other things.
He does very effective.
Good choice. Yeah,
very effective eye acting, which I feel like you need for Frodo, because so much of it is
interior. And then if you're not getting a glimpse into that interior, all you have to go on.
Right.
See, for a moment there, I was thinking that maybe for Frodo, you do it you're telling the story from Frodo's perspective, so peep show style. He's not on camera, but it's his POV. Yeah.
That'd be an audacious choice. And I don't think the fans would accept it. That sounds like a knock on the fans, but it's not. It's more like, I don't know that it would support such avant-garde.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the other people that we were thinking about. Who else did anybody have in mind?
Ooh, I had we have a great Chloe Sevigny as Éowyn.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, sorry. But my Éowyn is I'm so sorry if I'm saying this wrong, but Yifei Liu, who is Mulan in the live action Mulan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying this solely based on the trailer for that movie, but I think that would be pretty awesome. And Tom Hardy is Treebeard.
Interesting.
I can see that.
For fun.
Yeah.
Did we have a choice for it? No, Treebeard doesn't look like he was cast.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
We didn't cast Gimli, I think.
Nope.
I have a choice. And this kind of came up as a discussion along the way. This is going back to sort of the old, this is actually inspired by some of your professor's choices. So that is yours, like Anthony Perkins, all the thing back 60s. And this is not necessarily the Gimli of the book. This is almost more like the Gimli established by John Rhys Davies, which is a different Gimli. But if I'm thinking, okay, if I'm back casting and I want to have someone like that who just comes in with like brawling energy, and we've already cast Brian Blessed, then it seems like what we need is, especially if we just want a, battle tank rampaging through everything and just sort of like killing everyone, and with a good stiff drink along the way, Lee Marvin.
Oh.
Yeah.
My professor, in fact, went Charles Bronson.
As Gimli.
There we go.
I am not sure about that one either, but sure.
Can't quite see it. So.
Jared, did you have any other good choices on your list that you want to share?
Are we doing Bringing Out the Dead, or are we?
We're doing it more casual style this time,
Okay.
I think.
The only one on my list that I haven't talked about was Arwen, who I picked Lupita Nyong'o for.
Oh, interesting.
It's a very small role. The movies try, but it's a very small role.
They
But
tried so hard.
I think that means that if you hew closely to the books, that means that she has to nail the like two scenes that she gets. And I really think that one of the most beautiful women on the planet would be a great choice for that.
Hard to argue.
Yeah. We talked about Galadriel, Lobelia. Oh, Legolas. My Legolas was Stephen Yeun.
Ooh. I like
I
it.
don't know who that is, but
It's a good choice. It's an extremely good choice.
Yeah.
I would
Cheekbones.
actually.
Oh, he's the voice of Avatar 1. Yeah,
okay. Sure, that works.
Saruman, I had Brian Stokes Mitchell.
Oh, that's
Who
I know the name, but
he sings the role of the High Priest in Prince of Egypt, but he's also in Frasier as Frasier's upstairs neighbor.
oh, okay, right.
My mom actually did junior theater with him.
what?
That's my fun fact about Brian Stokes Mitchell.
That's awesome.
I guess my aunts were like friends with him, so.
Hey, what do you know?
Gandalf, Elrond, Denethor, Elrond, Gina Torres, Pippin. That's all. That's all that I
Okay.
had.
Anybody else have anything else they want to share before we look at what the listeners or watchers or viewers, whatever we're calling them?
The Watchers in the Water.
The
Yes.
watch, exactly.
Who plays that?
My only other thought, my professor has a few other thoughts, none of which I don't suppose anybody decided who Anthony Perkins was cast as in my professor's picks. But they had Anthony Perkins as Wormtongue,
Ooh, that would have been great.
which is a pretty
Yeah,
good choice.
yeah.
Although I am more excited about the Tom Bombadil and Goldberry choice.
I was half thinking, now that you mention it, for Wormtongue, I was half thinking maybe a slightly younger Willem Dafoe, but that's
That's almost too good.
yeah, that was
Right?
the problem.
Like-
Well, it's kind of a Willem Dafoe role. Brad Dourif did it so well in his own riff on the movie. It's sort of like, well, it's something different. So yeah, but your professor's choice is good.
Did anyone have a Theoden on their list?
No, I
no,
couldn't
I didn't.
see past Bernard Hill. I just
Oh, he's
couldn't
so
do
good.
It. I just couldn't do it.
too good a bit of casting. Yeah, really. Did anyone have a Faramir?
No.
My professor had Taxi, then scribbled out and said Judd Hirsch, Taxi.
As
What an
Faramir?
interesting choice. I don't see that, honestly. I love Judd Hirsch. I love him.
I don't have any thoughts on that. The other thing that I had is the other thing I had was an actor who I wanted to put in a role, but I was trying to decide what role they would be best at. Maybe Gimli, Janelle Monáe.
Oh,
Let's see.
she's
It's
an
hard for
elf.
Janelle.
Yeah, she's an
Yeah,
elf.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
You're right. It's true. I was
Elrond.
I got no
could totally
arguments.
be Elrond. Actually, that could be
Yeah.
a really good role for her. Yeah, I hadn't decided, so I was just throwing around.
Oh,
But I
no,
wanted to
she
see her.
needs
I
to
wanted to
be
see her
in-
in an action sequence as well. So
Yeah.
she'd be good at that. Let's see what our viewers, our watchers, have been thinking about. Joan Crawford as Galadriel. Sure,
Interesting.
definitely a way
I'll
you
take
could
it.
take that. Chloe Sevigny as Éowyn, or however you say that.
Certainly an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal as Faramir.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I'm
Give it
fine with
to
that.
me.
That's excellent.
Jake Gyllenhaal as Frodo.
Yeah,
I guess.
kind of, but it's an alternate
Yeah,
path. It
that's-
could have worked. Yeah, flip the
Yeah.
roles, put your glue on the.
And
Hell yeah. I love
Jason-
that.
Fine. That's excellent.
Now-
yeah, Momoa as Gimli is
isn't Jason Momoa quite a large man?
He
Well,
is.
yeah,
John
but if
Rhys
you-
Davies is a large man. Shrink him down.
Yeah,
I
casting,
suppose so.
you know.
Yeah, we have an unlimited budget here after all. We might as
Yeah.
well take advantage of it.
Well, that's the thing. So in the Jackson movies, John Rhys Davies is the right height relative to the hobbits, that they just had to, like, the Hobbit actors are shorter than him, and hobbits are shorter than the so they just had to like green screen them and then green screen the human-sized people separately. So yeah, you can totally cast a gigantic man as Gimli and just cast slightly shorter people as hobbits.
Yeah, works.
Perfect. All right. Well, we have cast a whole bunch of roles. I'm not going to go through them all because there's about 20 that we did, but they'll be linked below in the comments on the YouTube version of this shortly, or on our website. We'll be back next week with another panel, picking another type of thing. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever the heck you want to do. Follow. Oh, here we go. One last one before we hit the buzzer. 90s Denzel as Éomer. And on that note, thank you to our By-The-Bywater hosts, Jared, Ned, and Oriana. Hopefully Suzanne has been saved from the still waters in the Atlantic, and she's come to shore. And
Yeah,
we don't
she
have
did.
to.
So she just
did.
Sent a Slack,
She
yeah.
just got.
Momo has
Right.
been kind. Let her go.
It would have been fun if she'd been here. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
everyone.
That was fun.
Yeah.
My ignorance was on full display.
It was perfect. It was
We love
perfect.
your ignorance. It was good ignorance. And
It
you,
was so much fun.
gave your professor's choices a voice. So you can
Yeah.
be proud.
That's
You did
true.
really well.
It is still live.
I know.
Okay. We're talking about ignorance now.